watching CIOTV by Enterprise IT World, a production of Accent Infomedia.
So you all have to join me to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, introduction by Mr. Thakker, Solution Architect, MMEA, Eventus Security, ladies and gentlemen. Join me to welcome Mr. Thakker. Put your hands together. As we say, when you clap for others, universe will clap for you. All over to you, Mr. Jay.
So while the presentation is starting for us, so we can just interact. So before we actually start the presentation, it is great pleasure being here in front of dignitaries, Your Highness, all of us. It's pleasure being here, and it's equally important me representing here for Eventus, right? So before we run to the presentation, we'll just play some video about what is Eventus, how we have started, and then we can run to the presentations. Yeah.
The looming threat of cyber attacks is not just a headline. It's a reality your business faces every single day, despite shelling out millions of dollars in cybersecurity. No need to fret. At Eventus, we've got your back. Our holistic approach integrates cyber resilience with XDR-powered SOC for proactive threat detection, swift response, and effective mitigation. The AI-powered next-gen SOC, led by our expert cyber professionals, delivers tailored security to meet your specific needs. We conduct breach simulations and rigorous red team exercises. Our regular health checks and audits ensure your cybersecurity investment adds tangible business value. Trusted by more than 150 satisfied customers, we are revolutionizing cybersecurity. Still counting the risks? Time to count on us. Turn to Eventus Security. Talk to our experts today.
So with this video, we got a glimpse, okay, what are the different services which Eventus has. But today, we would be discussing more about platform-driven managed security services. So we were discussing right about like technology is something where we are inducing each and everything into different aspects, according and indulging with AI as well, right? But let us take an example. We all think about, okay, managed security services, it is about SOC services, right? But today at Eventus, there is a difference in the approach. And this session is all about what we do things differently with respect to approach and how we are indulging technology with respect to it. But before we talk about that, I'll just give you a glimpse about what Eventus is, how we started. Yes. So when you talk about Eventus, like Eventus was founded few years back in 2017 with handful of technology-oriented people, technical people starting Eventus as a company. But we had a clear vision in mind to become a global managed security service provider, right? But when we talk about managed security services, while we were doing our research analysis, talking about, since being industry veterans, we were talking to different industry people as well. With our past experience, we got to know, okay, within industry, the requirements vary stage to stage. For example, organizations look for vulnerability assessment, penetration testing services. Organizations look for breach attack simulations. Organizations look for SOC as a services, right? So with that aspect, what we did, we started thinking of a platform-driven approach. We started, okay, how we can coincide everything and deliver through that platform. And that is about managed security services through platform. But during that course of time, if you see, we evolved to 200 plus resources within Eventus. The vision was very simple, like being a technology enablement company, and out of this 200 resources, 90% of the team is very technical. So it's 10% only sales, marketing, and other people, other functions, but 90% is the technical hand of us, right? We'll discuss each and every services in detail, but we'll focus upon the architecture as well. But while we were growing into the industry, like when we started back in 2017, we started expanding horizontally across the map. So we have a global map. Our headquarters is based out in India. We recently, not recently, a year back, we incubated our regional offices in Saudi Arabia, in UAE, right? And when you talk about people, yes, we have peoples in India, we have in Saudi Arabia, we have in UAE. With respect to services, we offer services globally. So it's from US customers, India customers, Southeast Asia customers. With respect to cyber defense centers, right? When we talk about cyber defense centers, we have in India and Saudi Arabia. So our regional headquarters is in Riyadh. So that's where we have the major cyber defense center for the complete region, right? So we discuss about what was the thought behind introducing a platform, right? We thought, okay, there are multiple services required for you, for your organization, right? But the problem statement here was like, okay, everything is offered in silos. For example, today you want to have a red team exercise. Tomorrow you will require SOC services. Day after tomorrow you will require some vulnerability management services. So everything is happening in silos. Why can we stitch together to form a coincide platform? Yes, that is where Eventus comes into picture, and we have a platform which does that. So it doesn't mean that you have your offensive security services, you have your defensive security services. Can it run into silos? Whenever you talk about all these services, in the end, the outcome for you is just a report from the other service vendors which you have, right? So you say, okay, I have a red team access requirement. In the end, after red team exercise, you will receive a report via email, right? But the benefit of the platform is that once the report is delivered, the platform has all the data of the vulnerabilities, the observations, which is provided in the red team exercise or vulnerability management services, right? That will be used as an enrichment capability for your SOC platform. So for example, that enrichment is there within the SOC platform. So for example, if there's a vulnerability which is identified into your infrastructure, can that be mitigated, prioritized from the SOC defense perspective, right? That is a thought which we talk about from the prioritization perspective, right? So that is where the platform comes into the picture. Now, when you talk about the platform, if you see, the platform has a capability of a SIM. So we call it a data lake. The reason we call it as a data lake, because it is technology agnostic. Because when you talk about technology agnostic, it can ingest logs from any of your sources. Today, it can be endpoint, servers, email, cloud. Tomorrow, OT as well, yes. So we can ingest from OT SCADA systems as well. So that is where the data lake comes into picture. It's not a traditional SIM. It's a data lake into the picture. When we talk about other aspects, it's a multi-tenant. So what we mean by multi-tenant, it's not a traditional multi-tenant like, okay, as a MSSP, I can have multiple customers from the same platform. Since we are in an environment where we have ministries, right? We have government agencies. And when you talk about within that, there are multiple organizations that report to that ministries. So in a case, if I say, if there's an organization, let us take an example, if there's an education university, it falls under Ministry of Education, right? So if Ministry of Education wants, okay, I have to monitor that university as well, and I have to view that what's happening, what the security posture of that university, along with the Ministry of Education's posture from the security perspective, that can be enabled. So by default, we have level 4 multi-tenant model with respect to the multi-tenant occupancy within the platform. Apart from that, we also do contextual correlation. What we mean by contextual correlation? We are not a standard platform provider, a standard SIM SOC provider, right? We are not, okay, this is a SOC vendor, we will give you a default, by default 100 rules, 20 rules. We have it more contextualized. For example, within your organization, you have multiple departments, and there could be a use case. Okay, there is a particular department which is very critical, kind of a CXO's environment. So to reach to a CXO, we have to reach from a particular executive assistants only, right, in that particular fashion. But if someone is directly reaching out to the CISO, if the CISO is receiving multiple emails, that kind of use cases can be also achieved. So we do a multiple tagging within the contextual correlations. For example, we tag your critical assets, critical users, we identify what are your critical network segments, and based upon that, customized use cases created from the platform perspective. And then it is also enriched via vulnerability management platform, because let us take an example. If there is a vulnerability which is affecting your critical user or a critical asset, then it should be prioritized, right? So that particular use case is also achieved from the platform. Now, we say, okay, there is so much of noise from the platform, right? To have it more autonomous, to have it more workflow generated, we also have a SOAR platform, which does the workflow management, which does the ticketing management system internally, right? When you talk about all these things, that was the lower half of the portion of the platform. But if you see our heart is basically Eventus Threat Labs, okay? And the outcome of this is threat advisories. Now you will tell me, Jay, okay, we have many vendors who give us a threat advisories. It is coming from my government agencies, it is coming up from my proprietary feeds, right? But what is the outcome for it? When you talk about outcome of the advisories, it is basically from the technical perspective, operational perspective, and strategic perspective. So we have classified into 3 levels. For a particular CXOs, it would be a profiling mechanism for the CXOs. What if my industry is compromised in that particular region and that technology is also compromised? That is from the strategic perspective, right? From the IT perspective, it is with respect to, okay, what are the number of IOCs, what can be done. From the mid-level technical perspective, it is how we are customizing the TTPs from the MITRE ATT&CK framework perspective. Basically, we work on the IOS, indicators of the attacks, right? So that is the outcome of the advisory. I'll showcase more glimpse about the advisories as well, but that is the initial outcome of the advisories, right? So this is about the platform. So if you see each and every services, red teaming, vulnerability management, threat intelligence, everything is from the same umbrella, from the same platform, right? Moving ahead, we will discuss more about each and every services. Just a second. Yeah. So let us talk about managed security services offering which we have within Eventus, right? So basically we have 3 different divisions within Eventus. We start from cyber defense, which is our SOC as a service. We have cyber resilience, meaning that with the services, we are enabling you to become more resilient so that you can fix the vulnerabilities, patch the vulnerabilities, you identify more risk, and you can work on that risk to become more resilient from your perspective. We also have threat intelligence. Within the threat intelligence, we discuss about strategic, operational, and tactical intelligence as well, which we discussed, but I'll also deep dive more into it as well, right? Going ahead onto each and every part, let us start with SOC as a services, right? And this is where we have changed the approach, like we are enabling technology, modifying the architecture, and where we are improving a lot, right? So if you see, we have both the different models, right? So we are not a traditional SIM architecture player wherein we only ingest your event logs. We work on the telemetry, right? So what we mean by telemetry is like, for an example, we are having this event today, right? We came here, we registered ourselves, and then we walked into the event, right? So for any security incident, that would be just an event ID, event log, which is captured into the same platform, right? But when you talk about telemetry, it is the CCTV camera. So for doing an investigation, the CCTV camera will be more useful for the analyst. The analyst will see, okay, Jay is a person who has come down from the left elevator, he has walked into the room and is sitting right there, right? That is a level of investigation that helps me from the investigation perspective. It is not just an event of the register number, right? On that, we do enrichments. What we do, we first apply the MITRE TTPs to enrich and reduce the noise. Once that is done, we apply the machine learning AI models to map the rules with respect to the use cases which we have. So if you see, that's a funnel approach which is reducing the noise, deleting the noise, and we have for the analyst the high fidelity alerts only to act upon. In the end, you have the SOAR platform which works upon the workflows and automation. So when you talk about automation, it's not only about doing response actions, it is about enrichment, search, and collections as well. So for example, the journey of an analyst could be like working upon incidents, right? So then for a particular IP address, the analyst has to go on different platforms, search for its suspiciousness, work upon it, triage it, and then respond it. So with respect to us, only investigation is manual thing. Enrichment, search, and response is an automated thing for us, right? That is where the approach has been changed. We are also inducing threat intelligence into it. So when you talk about threat intelligence, we have multiple aspects of it. I'll deep dive into that. But if you see, this is a complete architecture. The red arrow indicates the response actions, wherein we can take a response actions onto your platform, like kind of a quarantining a file, email, and so on, right? I'll deep dive more into it with respect to other aspects. But when you talk about from the process perspective, because SOC is not only about technology, it's about people, process, and technology. We discuss about the technology. When you talk about process, if you see, it's a very swift line of process. So it's like from the infrastructure perspective, which is available while we onboard a particular assets for you, which is available, we onboard directly. So a typical scenario would be like when you have an EDR in place, EDR covers your ATOs or 60% of your infrastructure. So that would be the first aspect to reduce the onboarding journey for you, right? So within the EDR, we ingest telemetry as well as the detection logs. So if once we have that 60% of your network covered, infrastructure covered, we move on to different aspects. It could be your firewall, it could be your IDS, IPS, depending upon the criticality of the project plan defined. So that is where we are reducing the onboarding journey to merely 4 weeks for your particular infrastructure, right? Then we have a SOC excellence team. So that team is basically working for the SOC fine-tuning, rule emphasizing, and so on. Moving ahead, we talk about people part, right? So within Eventus, there is not only monitoring team which works 24/7, but we have 9 different teams working in parallel for you from onboarding to excellence to optimization of the journey. And then we have the excellence and threat intelligence team to work upon that. So that is how we have classified the team to 9 different journeys for you to work efficiently, right? When you talk about cyber resilience, right? So this was the thing which we discussed, right? It has the services to make you resilient. It's not that, okay, we will do a vulnerability assessment service for you and you will have more work to patch upon it, right? So this is a journey which will make you more resilient because once you act upon it, your organization will be more resilient for that perspective. Within cyber resilience, we have 4 different pillars, from breach attack simulation to red teaming assessment to penetration testing and incident response. We will deep dive into each and everything, but I'll just give you an overview with respect to each and every services in the coming slides. But before going into that, this are some of the statistics which we have from the cyber resilience offering. This is the last year statistics. For example, we have reported more than 10,000 of work within the red teaming assessments. That means we identified so many of critical observations within you with respect to that. Moving ahead, when we talk about incident response, we do a journey from your reactive to the predictive journey. So incident response is not, okay, if there is a fire, we will act upon it. So we have reactive services, we have proactive services, and then we move to a generation of predictive journey, wherein we determine whether if an incident happens, whether you are ready for that incident or not. Because, for example, if there is an incident, if you do not have the logs, you cannot act upon it. So that kind of predictive analysis of compromise assessment, your CCMP plan, cyber risk management plan, if it's there or not. Next, we have cyber threat intelligence services, wherein we curate different feeds from your proprietary sources, from open source sources, from your government sources, and then we have a workflow to act upon it. So all the curations, false positive remediations is there within the cyber threat intelligence. Next, we were talking about the threat advisories. So if you see, this is the threat advisories which we release, available on our website, and this is the value add which we give, the threat profile basically. So this is the matter attack threat profiles for the IT team so that the rule modification fine tuning can be worked upon it, right? Talking about more, while we were discussing, okay, there are so many things to offer within the journey. So for any MSSP provider to choose for you, there are 3 different things for you, like why you will choose Eventus or why you will choose any MSSP vendor. So I'll give you 3 different reasons. One is obviously technology, second is experience and expertise which we have. From technology perspective, we are XDR, ADR driven SOC services. From the experience perspective, you see 1,000+ incident response hours which we have done. And from the expertise perspective, out of 200 people which we have, more than 100 people are within the SOC perspective only. With so much of things in place, if you talk about, these are certain awards which you have received in the past, few awards which you have received in the RSA Global Conferences. There is one more award which you will be receiving in coming 2 weeks, which is about top 250 MSSP things. So we are targeting, it would be less than 250, less than 100 this year. Last year we were less than, our ranking was less than 150, but this year our ranking, we are expecting and we are very hopeful that it would be less than 100. That is the global MSSP around the globe. So this was about Eventus with respect to it. We are here, we have a booth. Please feel for any queries. That is it from my end. Yeah.